Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm Brewcack. This is Jam Day Warehouse, and today I'm going to do my deck tech on Vraska's Rot. Now, I've been playing the hell out of this deck for at least a season and a half, and I've been making alterations to it. And here's my short deck tech now that I have a brand new toy. So for starters, Thoughtseize. Shouldn't have to explain this. is the best card in Lorwyn block, and it has been the best card in every set that it has appeared in since then. Um, and it's our only turn one play. We have Gifted Etherborn. Now, this is the workhorse. It can beat down. Like, two doesn't sound like a lot, but every chip away will make it to where when we finally do our thing, game ends even quicker. And that life gain is nothing to be uh, sneezed at. And if all else fails, it can just trade one for one as a kill spell, a 2 mana kill spell. Um, Not bad. Shieldred's Edict is the best removal. Uh, well, it is some of the best removal ever printed, at least top five for black. Which is saying a lot. Black has a lot of kill spells. Uh, Surgical Precision. They got a big creature, kill it. A big non-token creature, kill it. The big token, kill it. Big planeswalker, or planeswalker at all. Just see a planeswalker, murder it. We have Tenacious Underdog, which is actually this does several things for us. First off, it can trade early game and gets into the graveyard, which is where we want it. When we play some of our discard spells, we can pitch Tenacious Underdog so that we don't go down on cards. It can keep coming back and for 2 life and 4 mana, which mana sink if we're hellbent, just draw cards. Why not? Nothing else to do with the mana anyway. Just all around very solid piece of this entire deck, and it enables so many things. Um, One guy's blessing. I've seen a lot of mill. Mill seems to be a big thing in historic. So, guy's blessing just to be safe, and it does combo with another card in the deck. 4 copies of Scavenging Ooze. Most of the combo decks in historic right now seem to be graveyard based. If they're not bringing something back from the graveyard, then they are recurring spells, whatever. Now it can get us life too, which can be helpful in the matches that are not against the combo players or the recursion players. Um, but overall, great piece of tech. It can be our game ender on some occasions. If we play it out and it eats 2 things out of the graveyard and dies, that can sometimes be just dandy. Trade one for one and take out some of their threats if they're playing Luris or um, the Mizzix Mastery combo decks, etc., and so on. Here's the new toy, Verdant Dread. This is why I'm making this video. So the way this card works is early game, 2 mana, make it 2/2. Perfectly fine, like nothing to write home about, but it's serviceable. Um, and if that's the floor, then like that's a pretty nice floor to have. Be able to just make a body early game that you can do whatever with, sacrifice it, block with it, maybe beat down a little bit. But then for 5 mana, you can create another copy of itself. And whenever one of these enters the battlefield, they all trigger. So you burn out trading one for one, you're both hellbent, and you just have this left, and that's the only thing on the battlefield. 5 mana, bam. No, 2/2/2s. 5 mana, bam. 3/2/2s. 5 mana, bam. 4/2/2s. For a mid range deck that just wants to trade one for one and then slowly get an advantage, this is insane. Plus, it helps us churn through our deck to get to the creatures that we actually want to hit. So, like, maybe you get a Tenacious Underdog. Sweet. Play it face down. When it dies, it goes to the graveyard, and you have your Tenacious Underdog. Maybe you get some of our other big creatures, our important creatures. Pay the mana, flip them over last second just to scare the shit out of some people, especially if they're trying to do like fatal push for our in-game creatures, or if they're trying to use uh, what is the new the the one that kills combined power and toughness 5 or less. We can quickly just be like, nope, we can dodge that with the creatures that we care whether or not it dodges it. Um, Overall, this card has been ridiculous. Like, I've had zero issues with burn players once I've gotten this out on the field. I've had zero issues with the aggro players. I'll just match them creature for creature. I've had zero issues with the control players. The only deck archetype that this card has a problem against is the life gain decks. You have to get rid of the authority of the consoles, and you have to get rid of Soul Warden before you play this. Otherwise, they're just gaining life and getting the triggers off of all the life. And then this is not that great. It can sometimes brute force your way through, but for the most part, yeah, this is weak against specifically the life gain archetype. Assassin's Trophy. Answer anything. Does your opponent have a creature that's a problem? Kill it. Does your opponent have um oh, you're playing against a life gain deck and they have Authority of the Consoles or Cleric class or any of those, take care of it. Incredible tech. 10 out of 10 would buy again. Um, oh, side note, try to use other removal early. This is great for late game. If you wait until late game, the extra land does not make a difference. But early game, it can potentially get you into a hole. Murderous Rider, 2 for 1 on the rip, and it has life gain. Kill a thing, lose 2 life, play it out, block a thing, gain 2 back. It's a good piece for us because we're just trying to get that card advantage overall. Excellent piece to work with. Now here is my hidden tech that is the core reason I'm playing this deck. This is Vraska Golgari Queen. Oh, I missed a couple. I'll go back. Um, but Vraska Golgari Queen, with her +1, I can sacrifice a permanent, gain a life, and draw a card. Well, if it's the Tenacious Underdog and he survived combat, which you usually will because we're going to be keeping that board pretty sparkly and clean, you can sacrifice him, draw 2 cards, and you only lost 1 life. Which all of a sudden now you're playing a jump start, or not jump start, the jump start card draw. Good, good little interaction in this deck, and you get more use out of the Tenacious Underdog, who's already doing so much for so many cards, such as Lily of the Veil, the de facto best planeswalker in Modern for a decade. Discard a card, perfect. We're just trying to trade 1 for 1 anyway, so if we can force them to eventually start discarding the cards they want to keep, right on target. Make your opponent sacrifice a creature. Uh, this can be a problem if they have some way to protect themselves from being targeted, but other than that, just hell, play it out, sack a creature. That's been tried and true for 13 years at this point. The ultimate, you're not going to hit too much, but when you do, of course, it's game ending. It's a Planeswalker ultimate. And then we have Liliana, Waker of the Dead. Liliana the Veil buffed up, basically. Um, each player discards a card. Once again, great. But on top of the discard, they can now also lose 3 life. This is actually insane. This can end games. I have won several games with this. Uh, Target creature gets -X until end of turn. X is the number of cards in your graveyard. Great thing. Like this is amazing. Just to be like, because as we go through our deck, we're gonna have like at least 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in the graveyard, which kills anything in the format, really. So -3, kill a thing. Beautiful. And you actually get to select it, unlike Liliana the Veil, which has made it to where, in my experience, she has been superior other than the fact that she is 4 mana instead of 3. The -7 I've actually triggered a lot with her, with Waker of the Dead. I've been in more stall matches where Waker of the Dead survived long enough to do it. And of course, Planeswalker Ultimate, GG, WP. Oh, by the way, Vraska Golgari Queen on those stalemate matches where everyone's having issues, but like destroying the planeswalkers, but you're like slow, but uh, they can't hit your planeswalkers, but you can't hit them either. Eventually, when she triggers, that makes it a very, very, very quick match. It's not unheard of to have games where you just decide not to attack anymore, protect Vraska, tick her up, get the emblem, and after you got the emblem, just what is it? Tenacious Underdog, something that can just jump out, pop them real quick. Good game. All right, 1 copy of Shieldred. This used to be 2. I shaved it down to 1 to make room for the Verdant Dread. This card was amazing when I was actively attempting to just dump things into our opponent's graveyard. But since there's so many decks in the format that want the graveyard, she doesn't flip often anymore, and I might be taking her out for something else. But still an incredible piece of tech, especially if we've gotten to that 8 cards and we haven't had a way to eat the graveyard. Um, Land, kill a thing, flip over, drops back into an enchantment, kill a thing, mill 3, discard 3. If they have anything left at this point, it's in the graveyard. And then bring all the creatures in all graveyards back on the battlefield, game winning, and then you can pay 5 mana to flip it again if they have something on the field. This card is incredible. And if it wasn't for the fact that this deck is actively trying to rip our opponent's graveyard apart as well as their hand in the battlefield, this card would be a 2 or even a 3 of. And finally, Meat Hook Massacre. Board wipes are amazing. This will single-handedly stop the Elves deck. This will stop those pesky life gain decks in their tracks. You just wipe the board. They don't have anything left to build up with triggers or whatever. Um, Good card. Is saved me from many. Oh, this is also great against the random Merfolk decks that'll pop up here and there. The A couple of the combo decks as well that rely on creatures. This will kill them, such as, for example, um, the Black Cat combo, the Cauldron combo deck that uses the Samwise Gamgee. Uh, yeah, you can use if you get this early before they have a time to get all their pieces together, because it usually takes about 3 turns once they get started, and the first piece is 2 mana. So if you can go poke, 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 like was it if you get land, like land drop on all 4 turns, you can drop this and end the combo. Otherwise, you're going to be having to find some way to get rid of Samwise. Samwise is probably the easiest thing. Or when the cat goes to the graveyard, you better have a mana open to eat it with Scavenging Ooze. Land base is pretty simple. I got Castle Lock, the Wayne is a 1 of, because why not? One Hive of the Eye Tyrant, because why not? Takunuma is basically a swamp with upside. Beseju is a forest with upside, and I've had multiple games where both of those cards have been very helpful. We want to lean in on. We want to be able to have 2 black by turn 3 at the latest, but then after that, we need a ton of green sources. We want to be playing that black spell and then dumping mana into green abilities. That is the name of the game with this deck. And this has been the rock for best of one in historic. Have any questions, comments? Right now, I'm toying with tickling Diamond's balls. I'm sitting on Platinum 1, and we're going to see if this bumps up the rest of the way. I've actually been on a hot streak since I put in Verdant Dread and started cleaning up. But I am Rukak. This is JM Warehouse. And until next time, have a wonderful evening.